Good evening. My name is Brian Boyles. I'm Executive Director of Mass Humanities, and we're so delighted to have all of you here with us in a virtual way for the 2020 Governor's Awards in the Humanities. Every year, we gather our friends and supporters to recognize individuals who set the bar for service in the humanities around the Commonwealth. More than 250 of you will be with us tonight, and we have folks dialing in from Cambridge and Boston, Cotuit on the Cape, North Adams in the Berkshires, right here in Northampton in the Connecticut River Valley, as well as our friends in Weston and Worcester, New Salem, New Bedford, and all across New England. In the words of 2017 Governor's Award recipient Henry Louis Gates Jr., the humanities make us all time travelers, space travelers, and tonight we will take a journey through the lives and careers of our honorees, Jessie Baird, Al Griggs, Fredericka Stevenson, and Lee Pelton. To begin that journey, I'm so honored to welcome Elizabeth Solomon, an elder of the Massachusetts tribe of Ponkapog.
My name is Elizabeth Solomon, and I am a member of the Massachusetts tribe at Ponkapog. I've been asked to help start this event with a recognition of native land, frequently referred to as a land acknowledgement. Normally, this would involve naming the specific traditional lands and peoples where the event is taking place. But in this time of COVID, we are joining each other virtually from across the Commonwealth, and we are participating from the lands of multiple tribal nations. However, know that wherever you are in the Commonwealth, you are in native space and on tribal lands. 10,000 years ago, the waters that make up the open oceans and harbors along our coast was dry land, and we were here. 1,000 years ago, this area was a stable ecosystem rich with varied life, and we were here. 400 years ago, English colonists came to occupy our land, and we were here. Today, most of the Commonwealth is occupied by others, and still we are here. Here is where we laughed, cried, loved, made music, practiced our beliefs, shared both food and knowledge, and made both useful and sacred things. Here is where we raised our children and buried and honored our dead. Here is where we interacted with people who came from across oceans. These interactions brought new things, new tensions, new ideas, new challenges. Here is where some of the visitors brought diseases that killed most of our people, leaving those of us who are left behind bereft. Here is where those of us who survived remained and continued to make our lives. Here is where English colonists began their conquest of the continent. Here is where our relationships with the colonists were built, destroyed, and built again. Some of these relationships were friendly and beneficial. Others were fraught with conflict, sadness, and loss. Here is where those who came to live among us saw land, resources, and sometimes people as commodities to be bought and sold. Here is where we maintained, sometime in secret, our commitment to our own values and beliefs about the nature of the world, the land, resources, and people. Here is where we made alliances, intermarried, and made ongoing communities with people from other native groups and with those from other cultures. Here is where we continue to live, holding the land and tradition of our ancestors, and here is where our children's children will continue after us. Here is where we laugh, cry, love, make music, practice our beliefs, share food and knowledge, and make both useful and sacred things. Here is where we raise our children and bury and honor our dead. We honor the ancestors that came before us and those who will come after us. Before colonization, there were tens of thousands of Native people affiliated with multiple tribal groups living across what is now known as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We are now fewer in number, and many of the places that we call home are occupied by others. But know that we are confident in our identities and remain firmly connected to our lands. Our connection to this place has not been affected despite thousands of years of both natural and man-made changes to our environment, and it cannot be changed by the claims of others. We are part of this place just as the land and water and sky are part of this place. We are part of this place just as the plants and animals are part of this place. We are part of this place just as the wind and rain are part of this place. Just as these elements are not separable from this place, neither are native peoples. We do not live in this place. We are of this place. We are the Massachusetts whose lands include the coast and inland areas from the North Shore to the South Shore. We are the Wampanoag whose land encompasses what is now known as the South Coast and Cape Cod. We are the Nipmuc whose lands are in central and western parts of the Commonwealth. Some of us are federally recognized. Most of us are not. We are the people who remain. The honoring of native land may be new to you, and it is only a small part of tonight's program. But I ask you to remember that wherever you are in the Americas and in much of the larger world, you are in native space and that there are indigenous people who belong to that place. May all that we do in native spaces both honor the land and prepare the way for those to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Tonight we're joined by many of you who have been with us for decades, as well as many of you who are new to Mass Humanities work. We were founded in 1974 as the state affiliate of the National Endowment for the Humanities. And in the original commissioning legislation of the NEH, it was made clear that every American has a right to arts and culture because we all deserve to have better access to the past, a better review of our present, and a better opportunity to interpret the future. Mass Humanities has been doing that work across the Commonwealth for years with partners and organizations and through grant making. This year, our statewide board welcomed 6 new members and elected a new slate of officers, including our new board chair, Elizabeth Duclos-Orsello. Elizabeth's done great work throughout the Commonwealth and through the humanities and in her partnerships with Mass Humanities, and it's my great honor to welcome her tonight.
Good evening, and a warm welcome to the 2020 Governor's Awards in the Humanities. I'm Liz Duclos-Orsello, Chair of the Board of Mass Humanities. On behalf of the board, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all this evening as we celebrate 4 amazing honorees and celebrate also the tremendous work of Mass Humanities over the last year. A year that has proven again and again how critical the public humanities are to facing and addressing the most pressing issues of our day. Let me say at the outset that it is because of the generosity of every one of you and our other champions that we are able to do what we do here at Mass Humanities. And what we do here at Mass Humanities, affirmed in our organization's values and goals, is to use the humanities to transform lives and build a more just and equitable Commonwealth. I am particularly honored to be one of your hosts this evening, because although I have just stepped into my role as chair, I have been working in partnership with Mass Humanities for nearly 20 years. As a grantee, as a project scholar, as a contributor to the Public Humanist blog, as a facilitator of community conversations, and for the last 6 years as a member of the board, I have witnessed and experienced firsthand the impact that Mass Humanities has on communities and residents in every corner of our state. Tonight's theme is Our Massachusetts, and I am proud that at Mass Humanities we celebrate and promote the broadest possible understanding of that phrase. We co-create, we partner, we seek, and we support. All residents of Massachusetts are part of our Massachusetts. My own life has been forged at the intersection of public humanities, education, and social justice. A combination that drew me to Mass Humanities so many years ago. This unique and powerful combination is why I support and champion the organization now. The focus of Mass Humanities, circa 2020, is to ensure that the gifts and tools of the humanities are broadly available to all people, and critically that all voices and lived experiences are reflected in and shape the cultural institutions and cultural works that both make up our shared reality and inspire us to new possibilities. Access, inclusion, and equity are our North Stars. And we believe, to paraphrase Audre Lorde, that what is important to each person must be spoken. Each of our honorees tonight has committed their life to furthering one or more of the values and goals that guide us here at Mass Humanities. Values and goals that get us up in the morning and keep us committed to this organization. Tonight, we celebrate our honorees for all they do and for all they represent. At the same time, inspired by them and fueled by your generosity, we gear up for a new year of serving the residents of the Commonwealth. The Governor's Awards celebration is Mass Humanities' annual opportunity to raise awareness and funds to sustain our mission. We are grateful to the many sponsors and others who have made this year's event a financial success. Thank you all. If you are seeking an opportunity to support our work and have not yet given, or are inspired to give more this evening, I encourage you to do so using the Donate tab at the top of the event homepage. Drawing inspiration from the brave voices fighting for justice and the cacophony of languages and cultures and worldviews that shape my city of Somerville, I wish to close with a few lines borrowed from Richard Blanco's poem, One Today. We head home, through the gloss of rain or weight of snow or the plum blush of dusk, but always home, always under one sky, our sky. All of us facing the stars, hope, a new constellation, waiting for us to map it, waiting for us to name it together. Blanco speaks to the vision Mass Humanities has set. Thank you all for helping us make it a reality. And enjoy this evening, because I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm often asked, what are the humanities? In Massachusetts, it's a great opportunity to point to the many examples of people doing important work with history, philosophy, and literature in colleges and universities, but also crucially in the public square, in church basements, in hospitals, and community centers. Tonight, we have an honoree in Jessie Baird, who I believe exemplifies that type of work, the fight to restore, to make known one's language. Because the humanities are how we communicate with each other and our ancestors. They're the questions we wrestle with our families. They're the great work of literature that inspires us to wake up every morning. They're the way that we seek out truth and make ourselves known today and to future generations. This summer, my son became obsessed, as many 6-year-olds do, with campfires and the way that different types of firewood made the fires glow in different ways. And then one day, we went and picked up a bundle of used books, and he turned to me and said, "Dada, those books, they're like the firewood to me. They make me grow." And I thought, you just answered the question that I get every day about what are the humanities, because they are the fuel, the things that make us able to acknowledge each other's humanity and to make our place in this world meaningful. Tonight, we are so honored to be joined by several other of our friends around Massachusetts to talk about what Massachusetts means to them and what the humanities do in their lives.
Hello, I'm actor and comedian and writer Jenny Slate. I'm also a human being who was born and raised in Massachusetts in a weird, spooky, haunted house. And for me, Massachusetts is a place of old, weird graveyards with those like really thin tombstones, a place of many, many stories, a place of continually changing seasons that come in a cycle that we all know about but seem to jar us and stun us every year. And I think that those rhythms are inside of me because I am from that environment. I think of Massachusetts as a place with obviously that has a major seat in American history, and that at this time, while that is a seat of honor and there are so many wonderful stories, we also need to take a moment now to re-examine what stories we're telling, what stories we need to tell, and what truth is out there for us to examine and show. I think the complexity of Massachusetts and the way that it really is a place that is just sort of washed over and over again by natural seasons and natural cycles makes people from Massachusetts into sort of tough, hardy, and really sensitive people, because that's what we need to be just to live in this physical environment here. And And that's why, we sort of have the classics like Thoreau and Mary Oliver, people who walk around outside and say what they see and help us realize that there is more than enough. I think I'm one of those people too. I look around at my Massachusetts environment, I say what's there, and I realize that there is always so much more than I thought. So I would like to offer my congratulations to Jessie Baird, to Al Griggs, to Lee Pelton, and Fredericka Stevenson. Congratulations on your excellent work in the humanities. Thank you so much for what you do, and I look forward to what's next. Bye.
The humanities are more important than ever. What could be more urgent than learning the stories of people, families, communities, and the story of us, one people, that's still being written? During my school years in Massachusetts, I was a theater nerd who loved disappearing into the lives of different characters and being part of the magic of transporting people through emotion and imagination, through words and song. Everybody involved walked away with more empathy. Empathy, which is the superpower we all need to come together and get through the challenging times we're facing today. I'm grateful for the work of Mass Humanities, and I'm pleased to join you in celebrating this year's honorees.
Every year, Mass Humanities awards grants to organizations across Massachusetts who do projects that bring the humanities to public life. We support museum exhibitions, library websites, after-school programs, documentary films, and oral history projects. But 2020 was not every year. At the beginning of the outset of the pandemic, we made a commitment. Our staff, who were experts at bringing ideas to life, followed the example of our neighbor, 2020 Governor's Award honoree in Northampton, Al Griggs, and put our nose to the grindstone to make sure that we found new ways to help the communities suffering from this pandemic. With support from the National Endowment for Humanities, Mass Cultural Council, and supporters like you, Mass Humanities awarded $1.2 million in grants to 207 organizations in 2020, doubling the impact that we made in 2019. Now, when you hear the humanities, you most likely think of universities and museums and libraries, and you should. But we also consider YWCAs, immigrant centers, literacy courses, people fighting for environmental justice to be the centers for the humanities. These are places where Massachusetts residents write their history, they share their stories and add to the great story of Massachusetts, and they figure out what they're going to do next. And in this grave year of tragedy and division, we knew that Massachusetts' humanities ecosystem needed to be supported in whatever way we could make happen. As a result, Mass Humanities awarded funds to the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge and the Native American Center in Danvers. We gave grants to Cambridge, to Central Square Theater in Cambridge, and to the Southeast Asian Coalition in Worcester. The reason? Because in all of those places, the humanities need to be a part of how we recover from this very, very difficult year. And we believe that only by knowing where we've come from can we understand where we are going. The other big initiative that Mass Humanities has led now for more than 11 years is the Reading Frederick Douglass Together program. This year, our partners around the state refused to let Douglass's words go silent when the pandemic struck. Instead, in 12 communities funded by Mass Humanities, they gathered online to read What to the Slave is the 4th of July. They and we continue to resonate with the words, we have to do with the past only as we can make it useful in the present and to the future. At Mass Humanities, we believe in a humanities by and for the people, and we're going to continue working for that no matter what conditions are faced. Because like Douglass wrote in 1852, now is the time, the important time. I'm so pleased that you'll get a chance now to hear from several of our grantees.
Congratulations to this evening's Governor Award recipients from the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center. At BCNC, we believe in the value and the power of the humanities to support a thriving and diverse community. As the new CEO at BCNC, I'm proud of the rich history of the Asian American community in Massachusetts. Thank you so much to Mass Humanities for supporting and sharing those stories and ideas from all communities. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much for your contributions to Mass Humanities. Without your gracious gifts, we would not be able to do so many programs in Massachusetts to help others learn more about the humanities. Literature and art are one of the biggest ways to express one's being and self, and to be able to do this in this climate in a way that doesn't affect just ourselves but others in our community is absolutely amazing and empowering, so thank you.
Without Mass Humanities, the Robbins House wouldn't be able to do the Frederick Douglass reading every July.
This summer, Lee Pelton wrote to his students in Emerson College, "Let the world know how you feel. Everyone who gets it will be better for it. And the others, who cares? Sometimes anger is not an emotion, but a moral." This week, Mass Humanities published We Too Are America, a collection of writings by graduates of the Clemente course in the humanities, a program Mass Humanities has supported for more than 20 years in Brockton, Dorchester, New Bedford, Worcester, and Springfield. Adults, many of them living near the poverty line, gather twice a week to take instruction from college-level professors, to earn free college credit, but importantly, to build their critical thinking skills, to learn to write and talk together, and to study everything from Aristotle to James Baldwin to Egyptian art. In the summer of 2020, these graduates gathered together to learn the craft of op-ed writing. In a summer full of pandemic and protest, they put pen to paper to write about parenthood, about police brutality, about living in their communities, about what it meant to try and homeschool a child. Ruby Polk in Springfield wrote that the first thing she taught her third grade nephew was the lesson of mediocrity. And as someone who's trying to teach a child at home, Ruby, I hear you. But we know that too often publishing and media and policymakers ignore the neighborhoods that these writers live in. And with We Too Are America, they join a long tradition of Massachusetts residents writing in historic times. From John Adams to Sojourner Truth to Frederick Douglass, from Ocean Vuong to Ibram Kendi to Janelle Monáe, people in Massachusetts write down the things that make impressions and impact all over the globe. We're so glad that the Clemente students were able to participate this year. I'm so much looking forward to you reading their book, and I'm glad you'll get to hear from them now, along with some of their faculty members and supporters.
Thanks to the Clemente course, I've had great conversations about the humanities with lots of smart, interesting people. Bus drivers, healthcare workers, retirees, your neighbors, my neighbors, people in our community.
I enjoyed my classmates. I enjoyed the conversations that we had during the class. I enjoyed the relationships we built during the course. I took the course from the beginning to the end, and I didn't want to miss no days.
The Clemente course reminded me that my voice has value and that my perspectives are worth sharing. My outlook went from one of isolation to one of belonging. Supporting Clemente and the Mass Humanities is to contribute to the fundamentals of what it means to be human. History, literature, the arts, and philosophy offer us answers that remind us of our humanity. I would like to say thank you for providing opportunities that give greater access to students of the humanities.
I completed the Clemente course years ago, and the experience that I had was amazing. I learned from the professors as well as the students. It was an amazing experience. I got to reach back to a younger version of myself who was very creative and be able to express that. I've been able to share the experience with my family and have open conversations that I never thought about having. It's been an amazing experience. I would recommend the course for anyone. I would like to congratulate those of you who have won the Governor's Award in Humanities. Congratulations, and God bless you all.
My grandparents via County Cork were from Dorchester. My parents were from Dorchester. I was born in Dorchester. During 1970 to 1973, I served in the Army at Fort Bliss, Vietnamese language school, and Vietnam. Then reading Odysseus in America and Heracles Gone Bad while engaging with my Clemente class. We often met in the class at the Juice and Jazz Cafe in Codman Square, Dorchester. One day, in the spring of 2019, I saw a piece of art hanging in the cafe. I asked the owner, who was a Clemente alum, if I could take a picture of the artwork. It was a photograph of a blood-soaked Black Lives Matter t-shirt, which was actually emblazoned with the more far-reaching logo, "No More Black Bloodshed." It epitomizes the many facts and facets into which the Clemente Initiative initiates. The need to support the Clemente course is self-evident.
Congratulations to this year's award recipients.
And congratulations to Mass Humanities. We're very proud to be able to support the amazing work of Mass Humanities, especially to expand access to the humanities through programs like the Clemente program. Congratulations again.
I first met Fredericka Stevenson at the Armenian Church in Cambridge, introduced by the brilliance known as Alice Delana. And we sat for quite a long time in the pews and talked, and I listened as Freddie talked about Summer Search and the work that she has done for many organizations in Boston and throughout Massachusetts. And I left that day thinking that the most important gift a leader can have is generosity. Generosity of spirit, of vision, and of time to listen to others, to think about what the future holds. Your support and generosity for Mass Humanities makes the Clemente course possible. This year, when libraries shut down and many of the places where Clemente students access computers were no longer accessible, supporters of Mass Humanities rallied to provide laptop and internet service to every Clemente student that was graduating that year, the summer writing courses that produced We Too Are America, and again in these courses that are starting this fall. Your support shows up when formerly incarcerated women gather in a classroom in Greenfield to craft a new play, and when residents of Lynn celebrate the history of Juneteenth. For Mass Humanities, the support that has been shown this year has been unbelievable in another way. In 2020, we started a special initiative called The Vote, a way to have a statewide exploration of voting rights in this year, the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, and crucially, in the year of a presidential election. Mass Humanities supporters made possible 18 projects around Massachusetts that looked at the history of access to the ballot box for women, but also for many other groups and generations of people who have struggled to make their voices heard through voting. They didn't just look backward, they looked to the present and asked what we might do to make this a more equitable world and a place where every vote mattered. Now, what does this mean? Effectively, this means that in every week of 2020, somewhere in Massachusetts, a community has gathered to talk about voting. And when the pandemic made the online gatherings, or the in-person gatherings impossible, in the face of that, and bravely forging the divisive territory that we now live in, these grantees made sure to continue their projects. On this Tuesday, the Tsongas Center hosts another workshop on the fight of underrepresented Americans to access the ballot box for educators. This is a 6-week series that they're holding. That same night in Reading at the Public Library, there's a screening of a film about Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman elected to Congress. And on Friday at the Brockton Public Library, a conversation will take place around the issue of undocumented immigrants and the waves of immigrants of the 20th century who have fought to be part of our voting history. This work goes on, and we are extremely grateful to the many supporters who have made that possible. I'm glad now to be welcoming several of the past Governor's Awards winners to talk about Mass Humanities and the role of the humanities in public life.
who spent her whole career teaching a humanistic discipline. I've experienced firsthand how the study of history, art, philosophy, and literature provides people of all ages with tools to understand our contemporary world. Mass Humanities provides an inestimable and unique resource in our state by ensuring the power of the humanities is accessible to everyone to further our democracy's goal of an informed citizenry.
I've had the good fortune to be intimately involved with Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities for some 35 years. And what has inspired me throughout this period of time, more than anything else, is simply the quality of the people who have chosen to become engaged in the work of Mass Humanities. People like the 4 individuals who are being honored this evening with the Governor's Award in the Humanities. And as remarkable as these people are, they're actually quite typical of the kind of people who have, over the years, become engaged in the work of Mass Humanities and who have contributed their time and their talent and their resources to improve civic life in the Commonwealth through the humanities. I want to congratulate tonight's awardees, and especially my good friend Al Griggs. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for the good work that you do.
When I was privileged a couple of years ago to stand on that stage, I just thought back on all that Mass Humanities has meant to me, and Mass Humanities really reminded me at every turn of how important it is to share the insights and the benefits and the richness of the humanities with the general public as well. So many different ways they have reached out to the public, and each of them has made us a much richer society. I'm grateful for all that they've done and all that you, as recipients tonight, have done as well. Congratulations.
As we collectively confront the humanitarian crises brought on by the virus and violence across the country, I'm thrilled to be able to join past recipients of the Governor's Award in the Humanities in congratulating this year's awardees for the honor. It's a privilege also to be able to express my appreciation for Mass Humanities and the work it does throughout the year. Programs like the Clementi course in the Humanities and Reading Frederick Douglass Together, which was done virtually this summer but was a great success. Programs like this sustain us and remind us of our common bond, and we are all deeply appreciative.
To all the recipients of the 2020 Governor's Awards, congratulations for your contributions to the enlightenment and well-being of our Commonwealth. Your accomplishments exemplify the sum of values that define the best of humanity, and they comprise the accumulation of knowledge from past centuries, calibrated to the changing world of the present, and mindful of the broader, more diverse population of our time.
To paraphrase Professor Gerald Green of Syracuse University, the humanities offer each of us the opportunity to know ourselves better, to know others better, the opportunity to understand and grapple with complex moral issues, and to face the complexities and intricacies of humanity with humility and strength. We need those tools more than at any time in human history. And using those tools, each of tonight's recipients has worked to make ours a better world. My congratulations to Fredericka Stevenson, Pelton, Al Griggs, and to Jessie Baird. Bravo, bravo to each of you, and thank you, Mass Humanities, for the wonderful work that you do.
Before we present the awards tonight, I want to thank Governor Charlie Baker for his ongoing support for this event and for Mass Humanities, as well as the many legislators who advocate for our support and support for our partners at Mass Cultural Council. Tonight's honorees will receive citations and resolutions thanks to Senators Joe Cumberford, Pat Jelen, and Julian Sear, and Representatives Jonathan Heck and Lindsay Sabadosa. Thank you all. When we decided to switch this event from our traditional setting of the JFK Presidential Museum and Library, we knew that we had a committee that would be able to make the adjustment with gusto. And it's my great and deep gratitude out to the committee of Nancy Netzer, Michael Poponi, Elizabeth Duclos-Orsello, and our co-chairs, Denise Kegler and Amy McDonald. I'm so glad to welcome Denise and Amy tonight to present the 2020 Governor's Awards.
Good evening. Our first award recipient is Jessie Baird, whose tireless efforts through scholarship and education to preserve the nearly extinct language of her native tribe have enriched the cultural heritage of Massachusetts.
Jessie Baird is Vice Chairwoman of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe. She is also a nationally recognized leader in the reclamation of language and culture, and has been doing this work with the support of some of the most important and prestigious cultural institutions in this country for many, many years. Her work, especially with respect to preserving the culture, the heritage, and the language of the Wampanoag tribe here in the Commonwealth of Mass, has been viewed by many as a real contribution to what it means to be all about culture, the knowledge associated with that, and the benefit that comes from understanding and appreciating where you're from and what it means. Congratulations to Jessie Baird.
Jessie Baird is a powerful force for the restoration of the Wampanoag culture and its place in Massachusetts today. In her mid-20s, Jessie began having a series of dreams in which she saw her ancestors. And although she could not understand their words, she heard their call loud and clear. Those dreams were the beginning of a journey that led Jessie to found the Wampanoag Language Reclamation Project in 1993, an intertribal effort that has revitalized the Wampanoag language. Jessie went on to earn a master's degree in Algonquin linguistics from MIT. She was awarded a MacArthur Fellowship in 2010. She has adopted her scholarly work into teaching materials for adults and children. Thanks to her efforts, the Wampanoag now have a language school for small children. Jessie's also helping to develop a 10,000-word Wampanoag English dictionary, which has become an essential resource for students, historians, and linguists alike. A Mass Humanities board member in the past, Jessie now serves as vice chairwoman of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council. The next project is opening the first Wampanoag language medium school. She says there are all sorts of lessons in the language that are not in English, because English does not have the same worldview. It's not just the language coming home, it's all of the teachings. For her dedication to revitalizing a long silent language and for illuminating a more complete understanding of our national heritage, we are honored to present Jessie Baird with the 2020 Governor's Award in the Humanities.
Kataba Tontamawamu, Mass Humanities, Kawonk, Nikona Shine and Baker. I wish to thank both Mass Humanities and Governor Baker. I want to also thank all of you on behalf of the Wampanoag, whose language it is I've just shared with you, and upon whose land we express our thoughts this evening. The Wampanoag have been here for at least 12,000 years, and the humanities are what have allowed the Wampanoag to maintain our land tenure. Material culture, music, the written word, painting, sculpting, wampum craft, and textile creation are all represented and expressed in Wampanoag Duong, the Wampanoag language. It's largely through writings in our own language that any of our lands were retained, actually. In reclaiming the language, We express to the world our omnipresent history as vibrant people proclaiming to the rest of the world and to the state of Massachusetts, Nutakim Alwanyayan, As Kikyaman, our nation yet lives. This work has meant that in reading the Wampanoag written text from the 1600s forward, that I've had a first-hand view of Wampanoag science and technology, of Wampanoag philosophy and history, as written by my own ancestors in a way that often cannot be expressed in English. Language reclamation work has been my life's calling. We've been able to reclaim what was taken and return to our people the ability to represent ourselves to Manat Creator and to our ancestors in our own language when our bodies die and return to the place where our spirit comes from. I've had the unparalleled joy of being part of this sacred work, and I want to express great gratitude to you all for recognizing the importance of both the Wampanoag and our language and the work. Thank you, Mass Humanities and Governor Baker, for this recognition. Katapatanamo Anach.
I am delighted to present the next Governor's Award recipient, Al Griggs, being honored for his inspirational and generous service to residents throughout the Commonwealth. On behalf of the Mass Humanities Board of Directors, I thank Al for his tireless service to our country.
It's hard to think about Al Griggs without thinking about the word service. Someone who served in the nation's military, through many years in the Navy, somebody who's been on the board of several major healthcare institutions, somebody who's had a long career in business, but yet still found time again and again to say yes whenever he got asked to step up and participate in economic development or cultural heritage projects in Western Massachusetts, and somebody who also spent a good deal of time serving and leading on the board of Mass Humanities. Al Griggs is exactly the kind of person who makes this Commonwealth a very special place with his time, with his energy, and his commitment. Congratulations.
Al Griggs has spent most of a lifetime serving the people of the Pioneer Valley, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the nation. Al joined the Navy at 18 and graduated from the Naval Academy in 1963. Soon he was commissioned to second lieutenant in the Marine Corps. He flew fighter jets in Vietnam, earned 8 air medals, including the Distinguished Flying Cross, for putting his comrades' lives before his own. After the war, Al attended Harvard Business School. He went on to own and operate several Coca-Cola bottling franchises. On retirement, Al turned his attention to improving people's lives through philanthropy and community service. He's helped students and families reduce the burden of their loan debts. He's made it possible for young people in the Pioneer Valley to train for leadership, and he's an emeritus trustee of the Williston Northampton School. Al also helped establish the Clementi course in Springfield. The first class graduated in 2016. It's going strong no matter the COVID-19 pandemic. Serving on the board of Mass Humanities for 6 years was one of his proudest accomplishments. He says, "It opened my mind to philosophy, music, literature, art, and history, all those things that make us human." For his inspirational and generous service to people across this Commonwealth, we are delighted to present Al Griggs with the 2020 Governor's Award in the Humanities.
Good evening. The first thing I want to do this evening is thank the Board of Directors of Mass Humanities, Brian Boyles, and the staff for this incredible honor. I've attended several awards dinners in the past, and I can assure you that I never thought I'd be sitting here talking with you this evening as an award recipient. I'm very honored to be virtually in the company of the other 3 award recipients, Jessie Baird, Lee Pelton, and Fredericka Stevenson. I've read your bios. I've read what people say about you. You're incredible people. I hope sometime in the future, when we're beyond the pandemic, that we could get together and have a reunion in person. I'd love to get to know you. I had no idea what the impact of my board service on the Mass Humanities Board would have on me. The Mass Humanities tagline, "Democracy demands wisdom," has stayed with me. I'm a much wiser person having had the experience on the board with the fellow directors and with the staff. In these times of uncertainty, with the pandemic, with the issue of racism so important, with the economic inequality, it takes wisdom to address these issues. And I think I am better able to live my life because of my experience on the Mass Humanities Board. I also want to thank my wife, Sally. Without her support and encouragement, I wouldn't be here this evening as a recipient of the Governor's Award in the Humanities.
Our next Governor's Award recipient is one of the Commonwealth's most powerful thought leaders, Dr. Lee Pelton. During these challenging times, Lee's courageous and definitive voice serves as a source of strength, not only for his Emerson College students, but for us all.
I think it's fair to say that most people know that Lee Pelton has been the successful president of Emerson College for many years. Some of us have even had to follow him on a speaking program. And I can just say point blank, that's not something I would ever want to have to do again. He's a strong voice, he's a great speaker, and he's a big-time leader. And it's no surprise that he is, in fact, one of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce's distinguished Bostonians. He's also been a very significant and important voice for years around issues associated with racial equity and cultural understanding and empathy. Lee Pelton is exactly the sort of person we should be recognizing and honoring, and congratulations to him on behalf of Mass Humanities.
As a child growing up in Wichita, Kansas, Lee Pelton was such a skilled orator that neighbors were sure he'd become a preacher. Instead, Lee joined the world of academia, where over the course of a 45-year career, he's given voice to the value of civic engagement, diversity in higher education, and the liberal arts. Lee was the first in his family to go to college. He graduated from Wichita State University with a degree in English and psychology, later earned a doctorate in English and American literature at Harvard. Appointments later as dean at Colgate University and Dartmouth College led to his first position as a college president at Oregon's Willamette University. Lee is now the president of Emerson College, and his vision of the college as a global hub for communication and the arts is helping reshape Boston's downtown. He has overseen Emerson Launch, which helps students start new businesses before they graduate, and Howl Round, which helps theater makers worldwide develop new theatrical work. He's opened Emerson College Los Angeles in Hollywood, which is enabling students around the world to get an Emerson degree through the college's Global Portals program. Diversifying Emerson's student body has been one of Lee's missions. After the murder of George Floyd, Lee wrote a letter to Emerson students in which he reminded them to take racism personally. What changes will you make in your own life, he asked. Begin with answering that question, and maybe we will get somewhere. For being one of the Commonwealth's most powerful thought leaders, we are proud to present Lee Pelton with the 2020 Governor's Award in the Humanities.
Thank you, Denise and Mass Humanities. I'm deeply honored to receive the Governor's Award and to be recognized with 3 extraordinary leaders and role models. At Emerson College, the role of the liberal arts and the humanities is essential and foundational to teaching and learning. The humanities are deeply rooted and connected to human experience and human endeavor. However, when one really thinks about it, all knowledge, all skills, all capacities are rooted and connected to human experience, and in this sense, all learning is humanistic. The humanities educate students to think critically and objectively, to bring to problems and issues a wide and deep historical perspective and understanding, to speak clearly, persuasively, and cogently, to write with grace, economy, and maturity, to work and to collaborate with others while maintaining intellectual independence and creativity. The liberal arts and the humanities help us to understand the world in which we live. We ask our students to engage in civic life as a necessary part of their own self-discovery and to anchor their work in human experience. I am especially pleased to represent my institution as I accept this award. You know, good citizens are the riches of cities, someone once remarked. As president of a college in the heart of downtown Boston, it is my responsibility to serve our college community. But I also take seriously the college's obligation to be a good neighbor and a good citizen. That was especially important this year as we worked carefully and creatively to reopen Emerson's campus, prioritizing the health and safety of our college and the surrounding community. Our good planning and collaboration with the city and other institutions enabled us to achieve a safe reopening, and I am very proud of that. But the pandemic was not the only crisis we have faced. This summer, the streets of Boston and those of many other cities across the country were filled with people calling for racial and social justice in the aftermath of the death of George Floyd and the many others who came before him. I was moved to write authentically and reflect about what it means to be a black man in this country. That message struck a chord with many and was read by millions of people around the globe. In all segments of human society, we have the capacity to make lasting change. By doing so, we will have taken an important step towards contributing to the more perfect union for which we continually aspire. I am very hopeful. Today's generation, their perseverance and demands for accountability make me so. So again, thank you so very much for this award.
I am pleased to introduce our final award recipient, Fredericka Stevenson, who has devoted countless hours and ample resources to expand the educational opportunities for young people, especially women, throughout the Commonwealth and beyond.
Freddie Stevenson is the co-founder of Summer Search, a program that's provided educational supplemental programming and support to kids in Boston for years. Thousands of kids have been through the program, and it has a high school graduation completion rate of 98%. In addition to that work, Freddie and her husband Howard have been involved in numerous civic and community and cultural activities for decades. And Freddie's work as a member of the board of the Smithsonian Institute speaks volumes about the way she works and who she brings to the table and what she can accomplish. Congratulations to you, Freddie, for all you do, and especially for the work you do with kids.
When Fredericka Stevenson was growing up in Jamaica Plain, her parents emphasized the importance of education. She listened well. Freddie, as she's called, has been increasing educational opportunities for women and young people for more than 50 years. In 1994, Freddie co-founded Summer Search Boston, offering low-income students challenging summer programs and mentoring after that. The organization's high school graduation rate is 98%. Freddie's commitment to education led her to join the Smithsonian National Board, where she was chair of the Smithsonian Science Education Center. She's also deeply involved in a hands-on Museum of Science program that inspires local students to develop prowess in engineering and technology. Freddie serves on the boards of the Cambridge Center of Education and Families First, and her interest in educational media has led her to chair the executive committee of WBUR. Today, Freddie serves on the Women's Leadership Board at Harvard's Kennedy School, which aims to help close the gender gap through research, training, and outreach. With her husband, Howard, she also runs the Stevenson Family Charitable Trust, which every year donates to approximately 75 educational and human service organizations. Education, she says, is the key to a more civilized community. For her commitment to education and philanthropy, we are pleased to present Fredericka Stevenson with the 2020 Governor's Award in the Humanities.
Thank you for this honor. I accept it knowing that what has been accomplished is a team effort of many professionals, volunteers, supportive friends, and understanding family. For me, this is an important recognition that we are together, stronger together. All my life has been about building community, family, schools, social movements, and the development of pragmatic approaches to solving the problem of the day. We all start small. The children's schools, the local service organizations, the movement with our children's sports. As we gain experience, our focus broadens and opportunities expand. My years supporting WBUR and NPR offered me the opportunity to help truth expand to reach. You may be asking, what does this have to do with the humanities? My answer is everything. We learn to identify and to judge problems by understanding what others have attempted and either succeeded or failed. For me, the humanities we celebrate here have other purposes. They provide respite and energy. A great symphony like Vivaldi's Four Seasons helps me to escape the pressure of current concerns. Larson's book, The Splendid and the Vile, teaches me about leadership in crisis. I see that big problems are not new and that an optimist can accomplish miracles. Plays like King Lear reminds me that my own problems are very small. An American in Paris transports me into a dreamlike state of fantasy and beauty. The ballet illustrates the devotion that the artists have given to bringing us artistic beauty and athletic prowess. Poetry of all kinds, from Limerick to Eliot, expresses through techniques that connect to me emotionally. I go on at great length, but mercifully I won't. Thank you to my friends and family for being here tonight and helping me to celebrate what we have all done together. My hope for you all is that you will stay well, happy, and contributing to the well-being and emotional and intellectual development of others. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And this is in celebration that the humanities has given me. So thank you.
Tonight we've learned so much from our four honorees. How to lead boldly and with grace. How to listen, how to work tirelessly, to honor your ancestors, to serve the people around you. These are important lessons in 2020, a year that has strained all of us when it comes to hope. And yet the work persists. And I have great hope when I look at the people that Mass Humanities works with and the people we serve. All around this Commonwealth, you can see evidence that the humanities are the cornerstones of our democracy. And though we face great challenges, I think we all know that whether it's a new vaccine or a new idea that changes the future of our republic and the way we are governed, most likely those ideas will come from Massachusetts. And the humanities, which fuel our imaginations and our ideas, need to be a part of that work. Someday we will emerge from this social isolation. And when we do that, we're going to need all of these people and all of these institutions and this awareness of the past, and this willingness to confront together these challenges, to rebuild and refine a way forward. I'm so grateful to all of you for being on this journey with us tonight. Another silver lining of the last 7 months is that we've been able to reach many, many more people through online programs around the humanities. Each of you will receive an email after this event with a list of events that are coming up produced by Mass Humanities. On November 4th, you'll be able to register for the start of a new partnership. Mass Humanities is one of 55 state humanities councils around the country, and we're launching with our partners at Mississippi Humanities a new series called Miss Mass, where we'll bring together thought leaders and scholars from both states, but also the audiences from both states, so that you'll be able to visit with your fellow Americans in Mississippi. And the first event is on December 3rd, but we thought it was fitting on November 4th, the day after the election, to send out an RSVP link and give you a chance to start building new bridges. On November 5th, we'll be screening a new documentary film about the Clemente course in Dorchester and the challenges faced by some of the graduates there when it comes to issues like gentrification and violence and public health. These are the ways that this staff continues to find new and innovative forms for the humanities and ways to serve the people all around the Commonwealth. If we were all together in the same room, as I so wish we were, I would ask them to stand up right now so that you could give them a round of applause, but I hope you do it after the program in the breakout rooms and from your homes. Ashley Ayala, Deepika Fernandez, Jennifer Hall-Witt, Catherine Stevens, and particularly for leading tonight's events, John Saraki and Michelle Wilson, have done unbelievable work, and I could not be prouder of a group of people for what they've accomplished in 2020. In a few minutes, you're going to be able to go back to your breakout rooms and continue to, well, not eat, but hopefully have that great sustenance, which is food for thought and conversation. Before we do that, though, we're going to hear a performance by Corey Sweeney, an oboist with the Me Too Orchestra, the orchestra consisting of people suffering from mental illness and the people who support them. And they're also the subject of Orchestrating Change, a documentary film supported by a Mass Humanities grant will be airing on GBH on November 22nd. We'll also send you the info on that. And it'll be great, I think, to close this really, really special part of the program with some music. Before we go, I want to again congratulate Jessie and Al and Lee and Freddie and thank all of you for everything you do to support the humanities in Massachusetts. The ethicist Daniel Allen tells us that every person must ask himself or herself how they want to live. And we all must ask how we want to live. The humanities are the tools by which we make those decisions. These awardees have shown us so much about what it means to live and how the humanities can be central to all of our lives. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Be well and safe travels.